What if I told you a daily driven car clocked over 3 million miles on its original engine? That's not a typo. A Volvo P1800, owned by a single person, drove the equivalent of 120 trips around the Earth. Sounds like a fantasy, doesn't it? Well, today we're exploring the machines built when planned obsolescence was a dirty word. We're counting down the 12 most ridiculously over-engineered cars in history. And you'll want to stay until the end, because our number one pick is less a vehicle and more a geological event on four wheels. It's practically indestructible. Number 12. Saab 900, 1978 to 1993. The Saab 900 was not a car. It was a rolling thesis on unconventional thinking, drafted by aeronautical engineers who accidentally stumbled into the auto industry. When they designed the 900, they seemed to think its primary purpose was surviving a Scandinavian blizzard during an alien invasion. Descended from a lineage of fighter jets, its DNA was pure aviation. The engines were famously installed backward, a quirk that improved balance and handling, and they were so robust that 300,000 miles was often just the break-in period. The body was a fortress, featuring a clamshell hood that hinged forward for unparalleled engine access, and the wraparound windshield inspired by a jet fighter's canopy for superior visibility. The chassis was so rigid that even after decades it resisted the squeaks and rattles that plagued its contemporaries. In the deep north, where lesser cars surrendered to the cold, the Saab 900 was the default choice for doctors and engineers who valued function over fleeting fashion. Its heater could turn the cabin into a Swedish sauna during a sub-zero freeze, and its front-wheel drive layout pulled it through snow with defiant grip. Discovering a pristine 900 Turbo today is like finding an uncirculated coin. Except this one can still rock it from 0 to 60 in under 8 seconds after being forgotten for a generation. Number 11. Buick LeSabre, 1992 to 1999. General Motors' Buick LeSabre of this era was the automotive embodiment of your quiet, dependable grandfather. Unassuming, never flashy, but possessing a core of pure, unyielding strength. While competitors were cramming in delicate electronics, Buick was perfecting a formula for serene longevity. At its heart was the 3.8-litre V6, better known as the 3800. This engine is a legend among mechanics. A masterpiece of cast-iron simplicity that was so reliable, it won a spot on Ward's 10 best engines of the 20th century. It was an engine designed with the philosophy that a component you don't include can't fail. But here's the fascinating part. These vehicles became the unsung heroes for people who racked up serious mileage. They could eclipse 400,000 miles with basic care, their interiors remaining comfortable and their engines purring with the same smoothness as the day they left the factory. The ride quality was famously pillowy, isolating occupants from the harsh realities of poorly maintained roads. The seats were plush armchairs designed for cross-country journeys, not just trips to the grocery store. For years, J.D. Power and Associates consistently ranked the LeSabre at or near the top of its vehicle dependability studies. Insurance providers adored them for their safety and low repair frequency. The only people who weren't fans were auto repair shops, because a LeSabre owner was a stranger. These cars were a favorite of America's wisest generation, not because they were boring, but because they were a smart investment in automotive certainty. Number 10. Mercedes-Benz W123, 1976 to 1985. In the mid-1970s, the engineers at Mercedes-Benz staged a quiet rebellion against the accounting department. They conspired to build a car so meticulously and durably that financial sanity was thrown out the window. The W123 chassis wasn't merely built, it was forged as if Mercedes anticipated it would one day serve as a shield during a zombie apocalypse. These cars were so legendarily tough that in places like Greece, they became the backbone of the taxi industry. One Greek driver, Gregorios Sacchinidis, had his 240D officially retired by Mercedes and placed in their museum after it clocked 2.8 million miles on the original engine. That's not a myth, it's a documented fact. The secret was a fanatical devotion to quality. Every switch, every knob, Every piece of trim was designed to outlast the owner. The central locking system ran on vacuum pressure, a complex but incredibly durable system that still functions perfectly on many surviving examples. The iconic OM617 diesel engine was a low-revving powerhouse that treated highway travel as a light nap. Here's the crazy part. Mercedes barely broke even and likely lost money on each W123 sold. The cost of the materials and the sheer man-hours poured into its construction were commercially illogical. It was as if they forgot their purpose was to make a profit and instead decided to gift the world an immortal automobile. In the distant future, long after civilization has crumbled, three things will remain: cockroaches, vinyl records, and W123s patiently waiting for a fill-up. Number 9. Honda Accord 3rd Generation, 1986 to 1989. The Honda Accord of the late 1980s was the straight-A student that made everyone else in the class look lazy. While other automakers were content with good enough, Honda's engineers were operating on a plane of obsessive perfectionism, treating a single misaligned panel gap as a source of profound corporate shame. This generation of Accord was born from a culture that viewed reliability not as a feature, but as a moral obligation. The result was a family sedan that could withstand neglect that would send other cars to the scrapyard. The engines were marvels of efficient design, so well balanced and smooth that they felt like they were powered by sewing machines. But the real game changer was the suspension. This Accord featured a sophisticated double wishbone setup on all four wheels, a design typically reserved for high-end sports cars. It provided a combination of comfort and handling that was simply unheard of in its class. Owners regularly saw their odometers roll past 300,000 miles with only routine maintenance. The level of detail was staggering. The iconic pop-up headlights were powered by remarkably robust motors. The interior plastics resisted cracking and fading from the sun, and the manual gearboxes shifted with a satisfying mechanical precision that never seemed to fade. In countries where a car is a multi-generational investment, these Accords are still on the road, revered as the forever car. When a part finally did wear out after 250,000 miles, the design was so logical you could often replace it in your driveway with a basic socket set. Now, if you're enjoying this deep dive into automotive legends, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. We're only just getting to the truly unkillable beasts on this list. Number 8. Jeep Cherokee XJ, 1984 to 2001. When the engineers at AMC, before Chrysler bought them, conceived the Cherokee XJ, their design brief was seemingly to create a vehicle that could climb a mountain and then survive falling off the other side. They didn't just build another SUV. They created a minimalist masterpiece of off-road brutality that thumbed its nose at the idea of disposable vehicles. The XJ's unibody chassis was revolutionary, making it far lighter and more rigid than the body-on-frame behemoths of the era. It was a design paradox, a lightweight vehicle with the heart of a heavyweight brawler. The 4-litre inline-six engine was, for all intents and purposes, eternal. Jeep's engineers apparently forged it in the heart of a dying star. These engines routinely surpassed 300,000 miles while being subjected to the worst kinds of abuse and neglect. What made the XJ a legend was its raw mechanical nature. It had no complex computer-controlled terrain modes or delicate air suspension. It had a simple transfer case lever, 2 solid axles, and the structural integrity to handle whatever you threw at it. The XJ fostered a massive cult following. Off-road enthusiasts and survivalists alike praise its simplicity, which makes it incredibly easy to repair and modify in the field. The AW4 automatic transmission it was paired with was just as bulletproof as the engine. For decades, you'd see these boxy warriors serving as rural mail carriers, backcountry explorer vehicles, and daily drivers that simply refused to die. Number 7. Ford Crown Victoria, 1992 to 2011. Ford's Crown Victoria was less a car and more a piece of critical American infrastructure, disguised with 4 doors and a steering wheel. The engineers at Ford likely posed a simple question. How do we build a car that can be driven into curbs, idled for 12 hours straight in desert heat, and still be ready for a high-speed chase the next day? The answer was the Crown Vic. It wasn't a car. It was a partner built to endure a level of punishment that would turn lesser vehicles into scrap metal.
The key to its immortality was the Panther platform, a traditional body-on-frame design that was simple, tough, and easy to repair. Police forces and taxi companies didn't buy it for its cutting-edge tech. They bought it because you could practically fix it with a hammer and a wrench. Its 4.6-liter V8 engine was famously understressed, designed for relentless, low-maintenance operation.
The cooling and electrical systems were massively overbuilt to handle the constant demands of police equipment. But here's the amazing part. When police departments auctioned these cars off with 150,000 brutal miles on them, their lives were just beginning. Taxi companies would snap them up and run them for another 300,000 miles. Then they would be sold to individuals who would drive them for another 200,000. Seeing a Crown Vic with over 500,000 miles still serving as a taxi is not an anomaly. It's a testament to its design. When Ford ceased production, law enforcement agencies bought up the last ones to keep in storage. When the world ends, the last thing you'll see will be a Crown Victoria, lights flashing, still patrolling the ruins. Number 6. Volvo 240, 1974 to 1993. Back in 1974, Volvo engineers convened and decided to build a car based on the principles of a granite block. The resulting Volvo 240 wasn't just engineered to last, it was engineered to be a multi-generational heirloom passed down like a family Bible. The design ethos was unapologetically focused on safety and durability. The 240 featured a revolutionary passenger safety cell and front and rear crumple zones that set the standard for the entire industry. The result was a car that looked like the box it came in, but could withstand impacts that would obliterate other vehicles. Its red block B-series engines were so ridiculously over-engineered that they became a favourite of tuners who could extract massive horsepower from them without worrying about internal failure. In their stock form, they would happily run for 400,000 or 500,000 miles with nothing but the most basic upkeep. There are verified 240s that have crossed the million-mile mark. The brilliance was the lack of complexity. While other brands were dabbling in fussy electronics, Volvo relied on tried-and-true mechanical systems. These cars became the unofficial vehicle of architects, professors, and pragmatists, people who valued substance over style and wanted a machine that would reliably start every single day, without drama, until the end of time. In cities like Portland and Seattle, these boxy Volvos are still a common sight, proudly wearing their decades of service like badges of honor. Number 5. Toyota Pickup/Hilux, 1979 to 1995. In the 1980s, Toyota observed the pickup truck market and decided to introduce a vehicle that operated on a different set of physical laws. The Toyota pickup, known as the Hilux everywhere else, wasn't just a truck. It was a mechanical cockroach that would survive the apocalypse and help with the cleanup. These trucks were so famously indestructible that the television show Top Gear waged a full-scale war against one. They submerged it in the ocean, crashed it into a tree, dropped a caravan on it, hit it with a wrecking ball, and set it on fire. After each attempt, it was repaired with basic tools and started right up. The secret was Toyota's ruthless engineering philosophy, where every single component was stress-tested to a point of absurdity. The legendary 22RE four-cylinder engine is a monument to reliability. It was a simple, iron block motor that prioritized torque and longevity over raw power. Its timing chain was famously robust, and the overall design was so straightforward that it could be maintained in the most remote corners of the globe. These trucks became the default mode of transport in the world's harshest environments. From the deserts of Africa to the jungles of South America, the Hilux was the tool you used when failure was not an option. They keep running on bad fuel, with minimal oil, and with a general maintenance plan that often consists of little more than percussive adjustments. Number 4. Chevrolet Suburban, 1973 to 1991. Long before the term SUV meant a high-riding family wagon, there was the Chevrolet Suburban. The generation built from 1973 to 1991, known as the square body, wasn't built to be tough, it was built to be a force of nature. It was engineered with the assumption that its owners would use it to haul a little league team across a mountain pass while towing a boat. This machine wasn't a vehicle, it was a mobile command center crafted from solid American steel. The Suburban was, at its core, a heavy-duty pickup truck with a permanent cap. It was so overbuilt that its frame could likely serve as a bridge for a smaller vehicle. Whether equipped with the steadfast 350 small block or the mighty 454 big block, the engines were low-revving torque factories that could pull a house off its foundation and barely notice. The four-wheel drive system was a simple mechanical lever on the floor. You pulled it, and it worked. The wiring was so uncomplicated you could trace problems with a diagram drawn on a napkin. These Suburbans were the workhorses for government agencies like the Secret Service, for construction crews, and for large families who needed a vehicle that could carry everyone and everything everywhere. It's not uncommon to find these square-body Suburbans still working on farms and ranches today, with 500,000 miles on the clock, their faded paint and dented fenders telling a story of a lifetime of hard work. Number 3. Cummins-powered Dodge Ram, 1989 to 1993. In 1989, Dodge made a move that forever changed the landscape of pickup trucks. They forged a partnership with Cummins, a company known for building massive diesel engines for semi-trucks, generators, and farm equipment, and crammed one of their engines into a 1-ton Ram. The 5.9-litre 12-valve Cummins turbo diesel wasn't just overbuilt, it was engineered for a world of constant, heavy-duty commercial work where downtime costs thousands of dollars. The first-generation Cummins Ram was famously crude. The truck built around the engine had a Spartan interior and a ride that could rattle your fillings loose. But nobody cared, because the engine was an immortal masterpiece. The Cummins 6PT engine was designed with a service life of over 1 million miles in mind for commercial use. In a consumer pickup, it was barely breaking a sweat. Owners quickly found that the engine only truly broke in after 200,000 miles, often reporting increased fuel efficiency and power. The magic was its mechanical purity. It used a legendary Bosch P71-100 injection pump, a gear-driven piece of art that required no complex electronics. It could theoretically run on a wide variety of fuels and was famously reliable. These trucks created a subculture. People would buy dilapidated first-gens just to salvage the engine and transplant it into a newer truck. The engine was so valuable that it was worth more than the truck it came in. The 12-valve Cummins didn't just power a truck, it powered a legend of unkillable performance. Number 2. Mercedes-Benz W126 S-Class, 1979 to 1991. When Mercedes-Benz undertook the project of creating the W126 S-Class, the engineers were seemingly given a blank check and a single directive: build the best car in the world, and don't come back until you're finished. This was not merely a luxury vehicle, it was a four-wheel declaration of engineering supremacy, a car built to a standard, not a price. The sheer level of over-engineering was staggering. It was one of the first production cars to make an airbag a standard safety feature, and featured an incredibly robust self-leveling rear suspension. The doors didn't just close, they sealed with a heavy, reassuring thunk that communicated a sense of impenetrable safety. The interior materials, the wood, the leather, the switchgear, were all chosen with the expectation that they would look and function perfectly 30 years later. The diesel and gasoline engines were not designed for blistering speed, but for effortless, silent, high-speed cruising for hundreds of thousands of miles. They were under-stressed power plants that could cross continents at 80 miles per hour without ever feeling strained. Here's the insane reality. Mercedes reportedly lost money on every single W126 they built. The investment in research, safety innovation, and materials was so immense that the sticker price couldn't cover it. It was a monument to a time when engineering prowess trumped profit margins. Today, these cars are still used by dignitaries and taxi services in developing nations, gliding along with 600,000 miles on the odometer. Their mechanical integrity a silent rebuke to modern automotive standards. Number 1. Toyota Land Cruiser 60 Series, 1980 to 1990. And here it is at the pinnacle of our list, the Toyota Land Cruiser 60 Series. To be frank, No other vehicle truly comes close. This machine wasn't just engineered to last, it was engineered to be the last vehicle running on Earth, capable of traversing the most inhospitable terrain imaginable long after everything else has failed. Toyota didn't just over-engineer the Land Cruiser. They engineered it for a reality where the nearest paved road is a distant memory, and the only mechanic is you. The FJ60 and its successor, the FJ62, were the products of decades of Toyota learning from failures in the world's most brutal environments, and then systematically eliminating every possible weak point. Its legendary inline-six engines were not powerful by modern standards, but they produced immense low-end torque, and were fundamentally as reliable as a hammer. They were agricultural-grade implements, designed to run on questionable fuel and with minimal maintenance. It's common to see these engines exceed 400,000 miles, with many passing 600,000, and a handful of documented million-milers still on their original internal components. Every part was built with extreme service in mind. The fully boxed ladder frame was absurdly strong. The simple leaf spring suspension was tough and could be repaired in the middle of nowhere. This is why the 60 series became the vehicle of choice for the United Nations, for aid organizations, and for explorers in places like the Australian outback, where a breakdown can be a life or death event. These trucks have served in war zones, survived natural disasters, and ferried doctors through jungles. They are a symbol of mechanical perfection and a testament to a time when a company set out to build not just a truck, but an unstoppable force of nature. And that's our list of 12 vehicles that were engineered for eternity. Which one surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. I'm willing to bet that the story of Mercedes losing money on its flagship models was a shock for some of you. Hit that subscribe button for more tales of automotive legends. And always remember, they truly don't build them like that anymore.